Early, you are live. Okay, so and I will be able to see the comments as they're right. Okay, that's it. Great.
I'm just reloading our Facebook just to check. Yeah, there we are.
Okie doke. Right. All right. Well, hopefully everything will go smoothly and the broadband won't drop out. Right. Okie doke. Thanks very much, Jen. Bye for now.
Take care.
You too. Bye. Do you want a coffee, Jane? Yeah. Do you want? Okay. Thank you. Hello, Yvonne. Hello, Louise. Hello, Alison. Hello, Judith. Oh, specs. Slightly different format for me. I'm not really very familiar with StreamYard, but so I've got a couple of minutes to go. I've just made a pot of tea, so chat amongst yourselves. Okay. Hello, Sarah. What? Okay. You don't need to. It's all right. I'll do it. Don't worry. Right. Have I got everything I need? It's quite. Sorry. Is there none? Well, what about if I just have that little bit and then you get more? There's some skimmed in the door because there's hardly any left. Thank you. What time is it? 11:59. A minute to go. Hello, Mel. Hello, Kerry. Hello, Rose. Maria, Jane. Right. Clean enough. Hello, Hilary. This is quite weird because everything's back to front here. Yes. Not sure it's normally this way around. I think usually. Yeah, anyway. Hello, Pauline. We will behave ourselves. You better had. You naughty lot. So I've gone for the slutty lipstick again. Hello, Anne Gittins. Nice to meet you. Oh, I know your name. Gosh, just pour my tea. Just 1 second. A little bit on the weak side. Yes, I'll just pour my tea. Product placement is terribly important. Righty. So, hello, Carol. Hello, Emma. Where are we? 12 o'clock. Jane, have you changed where you're sitting? No, but because this is being filmed on a platform called StreamYard, everything looks the wrong way around. So I'm looking at myself and going, oh yeah, that's where the hair's kind of hanging down. Yes, I'm completely confused. Good afternoon, Wendy Rowell. Right, so it's 12 o'clock, so I could start. I'm not aware yet of more than a couple of names that I'm not familiar with. What would be really, really nice if people who have never joined my 5 Feet is Busy. Oh yeah. For people who've never joined my live videos, which have been at 12 o'clock throughout the various lockdowns, just comment and say hi, because at the moment I can see quite a few familiar faces, but it would be so nice to know that there are some people who are maybe coming through the Half Facebook page today, say hi, and then I'll be able to, then I'll know. So, always a good idea to have a, I'm not left-handed, no. I know a few people thought I was left-handed. So, hello Becky. So, this live video today was kind of, my daughter said, do your normal one and we'll stream it through the, hello, and Otley, we do have somebody here. That's great. Nice to meet you. Yeah, so those of you who have never joined my live videos before, which have been at 12 o'clock during lockdowns, I basically just do a bit of painting and a bit of chat. I attended your workshop for us. I've taken to my watercolours, Pauline Clare, well done. So yeah, if you haven't done it before, it's very relaxed. It's not, hello Pam, loving the mug of tea, really, great, great, great. So I thought it would be good to go a little bit back to basics because I have no idea what level you're all at, and I'm sure that you'll find something. Hello, Stephen Bridget. Wow, this looks very professional. Vote. No, we will not be doing that. So what I'll do, I have got my my painting area in front of me, and what I usually do is have my iPhone, except it's my husband's iPhone because mine's got microphone issues, in front of me, and I just tip it up and down. Now my drawing board is on a bit of a slant, so don't be surprised if things just look a little bit odd, but I will hold things up so you see them the right way around. Or what you could do is even turn your device or your iPhone round when I do the painting. I'm sure you'll work it out. Anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my materials. I use like the best quality watercolour paint that you can get, which up until recently I would have said was Winsor & Newton artist quality professional watercolour, and I like to use the sort of solid blocks, loads of pigment. Now the guy who used to work for Winsor & Newton developing their colours set off on his own a couple of years ago to make, hello Emma, denim, great to meet you, hope you enjoy this. I can't buy the half, great. Yeah, so the guy who used to work for Winsor & Newton set up his own company a few years ago because he wanted to make a paint that would be even better than that for professional watercolour painters. And I've been using this paint for 2 or 3 years, and then he developed this cute little box, which especially for me, with the 6 colours I use, I only have a very, very limited palette. So that's really special. I get the bigger containers, and the paint is quite sort of, it's quite viscous when you get it, but if you leave the lid off like I do, it goes dry. But it's very, very, hello Mary, I'm with my wife Christine, we haven't any material. You don't need any materials. This is like, this is to inspire you. It's not a paint along session. Don't you worry, David. Yeah, I just literally put my brush straight in there. But what you can do is take a scoop out with a knife and put it into a palette like that. So these are literally the colours that I use. And then paper, again, I like a very heavy paper. I like a high white colour, and I like a rough surface. So, you know, no jokes, but I do like my paper rough. So some of the papers, I think this actually isn't. I usually use Saunders Waterford 350 GSM high white rough. This isn't. This is Fabriano, and you might be able, this is called Fabriano Artistico, and you might be able to see the watermark on there. It's a nice paper. It's not my absolute favourite. There's also some paper, I don't know how I came by it, and this has a very smooth surface, which is good for sort of very, very fine botanical work. There's another paper I've been using, which I found in my drawer quite often. If I buy paper, I buy loads of it. And this is it's actually not a very heavy paper. It's got a very distinct weave, and it's quite good because the pigments separate out very, very nicely on it. So, paper, paint, brushes. Right, so I use mostly synthetic, good quality synthetic brushes. They don't cost a fortune. And the make is Pro Arte, which sounds very, very Italian. And they're made in Skipton, Yorkshire. What is the make of your new paints? AJ Ludlow, okay? Oh my goodness, so when we do a live video on StreamYard, you can read what it says. So yeah, AJ Ludlow colours, they are superb, and you get vast quantities of actual pigment in the paint. The brushes, as I say, Pro Arte, and I use these ones they call a one-stroke brush, which are they're very good. They hold masses of water. I start a lot of paintings with a very big brush like that and work my way down. And for today, I'll be using, they're already in the water, I'll be using sort of this sort of size. But again, these are the shape I use. But of course, as we get down to like fine details like eyes and things, I go down to a pointier brush. And I sell brushes as well, because during the first lockdown, there were loads of people just like discovering their creative sides, and I was approached by Andrew and Mayru, who are the Ludlows, who make beautiful paint, and who I'd met at a trade fair at one time, and they said, you know, would you like to work with us? And that happened. And then the same with Saunders Waterford, who make the paper. So we then developed a pad of a paper I really like to use, and I think there are 10 sheets of Saunders Waterford High White 300 GSM, which is 100% cotton. So I sell these on my website. I sell the brushes on my website, and I sell the little boxes with 6 paints in. So today I'm going to try and get through as much as possible, and I'm going to just show you how lovely and easy it can be with using a bit of a sort of positive attitude, bigger brushes than you might normally use, and lots of colour. So I think I have a clean, I use these sort of, I don't know what they are, porcelain, what do you call them, daisy palettes. Oh, here, I washed one specially for you. Right, as I say, I'll tip you up for the mixing and stuff, and I'll just first of all give you an idea of how to use maybe the way I paint, to do things like leaves and feathers, and sort of to get those first blocks of colour out. I always have a lot of source material in front of me. I'm afraid these tulips are on the way out, but the leaves are still gorgeous. Where are we? I'm having to go the opposite way I normally do. I'm loving the lupin leaves, which are coming up now. They're a lovely thing to paint. And then this is a plant which I don't like, but I like the leaves, and I use them in my paintings. As far as source materials go, what I really like is to have the subject in front of me. And if that means, say, a chicken in a cage on a table just outside the studio, yeah. I've got guinea fowl, ducks, chickens, sheep in the fields, landscapes. So wherever possible, I use things that I've absolutely absorbed and things that jump out and say, paint me in front of me. Hello, Rachel Winters, nice to see you. Those paints are glorious. Oop. Am I getting messages? Right, I'm going to now tip up, mix a nice green, and start thinking about leaves. And I hope you can see. I might not be able to see. Oh, yes, that's fine. Right. I'm not a massive mixer of colours. I try and keep the mix down to a minimum. So some people say green, you buy a green. I do. It's a sap green. It's a great colour. I couldn't mix it better myself. So I'm just getting loads of it out of here. Might pick a little bit of that warmer, of that yellow, and then I'm going to get a little bit of, I'm not quite sure what this colour is. I think this is permanent alizarin crimson, or no, it's not. It is anthraquinone crimson. I buy larger containers of paint because I probably use more than most. It doesn't really matter, it's not a great colour. So leaves and feathers and things, basic shapes. Press and lift, and I've left a vein up the middle, okay? Sort of doing it upside down. Another leaf, leaving the veins. Just a simple leaf shape, but it sort of gives you the idea of how you can use this shape brush to work to your advantage. It's got serrated edges, this leaf, a little bit like the one I showed you. Now, another leaf might be one of my favourites, things like tulips or daffodil leaves. They're really just like ribbons. Okay. While it's wet like this, it's a lovely, lovely time to add a bit of depth of colour. I'm going straight into the blue there. And where the shadows might fall right next to the veins, it just adds a bit of interest. Now you have to remember with watercolour, this will, when it dries, it'll go lighter. So I have painted them upside down, which is a first. Hello, Jan Oliver. Yeah, I'm just looking at these lovely lupin leaves, which are a little bit bluer. So I'm going to start with I'll just mix a bit of that in as well. And I'm going to paint these this way up. This is just like having fun on paper. I'm not doing a painting or anything. Okay, press, come back to the middle. And I'm using these leaves in front of me as a reference. And again, a little bit darker where they come out from the stalk. Maybe a bit up here as well. Some of the ones that have been, I don't know, had a touch of frost, they've actually got a tiny little bit of, a tiny rim of red around the edges as well. So, sort of idea for a tulip leaf. I'll just turn it over and then we can see how something like a tail feather on a cockerel might. Because a feather is very similar to a leaf. You've got two distinct halves with a rib up the middle. Quite often the feather sort of splits towards the end as well. And there's no fiddling on when you've got a brush this size and when you've got the hang of how to control it. So there we've got, I mean, I know they're green, but an idea of feathers. Now, leaves and feathers are things I paint a lot of the time. Now then, what have I got over there? Yes, tulips, tulips. Lovely, lovely tulips. Sorry, I've got this paper out of my drawer and it had a little bend on it. And I'll turn it this way. And again, simple way of painting tulips using this large flat brush, which is called One Stroke. I'll just get, I'll move that. And we'll think about the tulips which are in front of me. So I've got some yellow tulips and some red tulips. I won't spend, which way do I need to go so that you can see? There. I won't spend ages and ages mixing colour, but just again to give you an idea, simple idea of how to paint flowers using these gorgeous brushes. So you can halt the process halfway up. There's one tulip petal. And I'm just looking directly at my vase of really quite old tulips here. There's another petal there which sort of disappears behind that one. And then another one here which does the same. So these tulips came from either Tesco's or the Co-op. I'm just getting a tiny, tiny touch of a darker colour, which you can put on, and then you could lift off as well if you've overdone it. How about that? Okay, so there's a very simple tulip shape, yellow. See, I left a little white bit there. I could, when this is dry, I could go in and put a slightly darker yellow in there but if I try and do it now, it'll probably just bleed all over everywhere. Now we've got an amazing tulip here. I often use my, now then, to move along a little bit. I often use the board that I paint on to mix colours on. So if I just tip a little bit, see, I do that. So I'm going to do another tulip here, where the petals start yellow, then bleed into red. So that could be a fun thing to start. Clean a brush. Just get a little bit of my mini kitchen roll. And now I get a nice, actually, I use a Windsor red. Just checking if that's the colour. Yeah, it's the crimson. I was just wondering which Ludlow red I used. This will be fine. You know, we don't have to be too purist about the colours for this morning. Okay, so I'm just letting the red bleed into the yellow there, because that's exactly what's happening to the flower. And the same here. And also this little petal which is lurking behind these two. And then at the very base of the flower here, I'm going to get not such a huge brush. It's a bit green. And it's the same here actually. And that's a little bit darker because it's sort of hidden behind these ones. And I'm just going to get, wherever possible, I use the appropriate shape brush so that as often as possible, everything is just one stroke, literally. So here is the stalk. And for this one, the yellow one, I'm going to just let it touch the paint. And now I'm looking at this tulip, which is very much on the way out. I'm getting a bit of darker colour here because they are much darker at the tips now that they're past their best. So again, very, very simple, something you can easily try. And then, you know, if you're feeling confident, again, I'll just grab some green. You know, you've got the lovely big, oops, not enough, lovely big tulip leaves as well, you know, finding their way, oops, behind and in front. So I'll pop that to one side, and Margaret Wood, you're late. It's disgraceful. Oh, hi Rebecca, lovely to see you. Rebecca Vincent and I, we're like that. Been friends for many, many, many years. Two things. I thought it would be fun to do something, to paint something that people often associate with me. That was some tulips I did the other day. One of the things which we keep here is poultry, and I absolutely love them. I like the brightly coloured cockerels, I like the brown hens, and I like the white poultry with the black marks. It's called light Sussex. So I thought I'm going to quickly start a couple of those and give you an idea about how I might approach them. I'm going to stand up for this. Will you retell some of your favourite jokes? Which ones in particular? Well, there seems to be a cross face up there. I wonder who that is. Right. So, this is one approach to painting cockerels, which I use, and I've lost a colour. There we are. I've done this before. Oh, the people who usually watch my live videos, you can sort of look away because you'll be very bored, I think, at this point. And as with all the work I do, it's very much based on spending time with these creatures or landscapes or flowers, whatever, and really being quite, you know, understanding what it is, you know, where the main joints are, where the shoulders are, where the legs begin, and there really isn't a substitute for like really, you know, close observation and handling. And I would, you know, I've had many sort of occasions where I've, you know, handled creatures, you know, helping out lambing time or picking dead animals up off the road, or you know, wherever. No, it's lovely. What is magic to me are the things that happen that are out of my control, or that I maybe control a little bit, like that. Do the same sort of thing here. Just add a little bit of colour. I need a slightly smaller brush for the next bit, which will hopefully make it clear which end is which on this cockerel. I'm not upside down. I'm gonna maybe just turn the brush on its edge and just leave a little white hole where the eye would be. And then going back to that thing that we just did before, leaves and feathers. Just going to mix up a sort of tail featherish colour. Our cockerels are very, very colourful. You know, they're the ones that have to attract the ladies, so they've usually got quite flamboyant feathers and colours. And of course I do make them up sometimes. Now if you can't see anything, just make a comment. For any newbies, MAL sells a paint. Thank you, Margaret Wood. And while this is still a bit wet, I'm gonna find a slightly contrasting. Oh, here we are. I don't know, I bought this green years ago and it's really not a very natural colour. But I think I might just get quite a bit of that on the end of my brush and just dot it on the end of those tail feathers. Just going to put a little bit more red there, and then, ooh, where's that colour? I'd like these golden bits to be really quite burnished almost around certain places. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for a minute. We're going to come back to it. And then there's another thing, and that, oh, actually I can use this piece of paper. You'll just have to forgive the bend in it, but it'll be fine. It's just for fun, really. I'm going to do the same thing, but this is going to be a make sure that you can see everything. This is going to be a light Sussex chicken. Now it's white, so the base, the first wash, which is what we call a layer of paint, will be very pale. So I'm going to slurp there. So I think I'll make it a very, very pale blue, literally hardly any paint at all. Right. Okay, so right. So there's the head. And the neck and the shoulders. Now this is from the back. This is a back view. So there's a shoulder. That'll be where the wing feather is there, and that'll be where the other wing feather. Then under here you have a sort of fluffy bottom. And then these light Sussex, they have almost bloomers where their legs are. So that's one leg, and then the other one will be about here. Really quite pale, and it's not at all clear. Can you see it all? Yeah. Barbara Roberts, hello. Right. So I'm going to get a slightly. Just a very sort of pale wash, and a wash is just that. So where the shadow falls, which is underneath this area here, the very bottom of the sort of fluffy bottomy bit, everything that's close to the ground will cast a shadow. Will have a shadow cast. Just going to put the comb on, which is obviously it's a defining feature. So I'm just going to get myself a nice red. Oops, it's not very strong. And then I think I'll pop the legs on as well. And then I would let it dry. So I've got one here. And then we've got this leg sort of resting actually. And all this cockerel's weight is on this one leg. And then they have these sort of spurs, which you've got to keep out of the way of. We had a light Sussex cockerel who was vicious and he attacked everyone. I want to make it just a little bit fatter. And threw itself at them with its spurs, which was very, very unkind. So I put that to one side before going on to the next. The next side must have had the industrial strength. Your speedy I know. Okay, so I'm going to just hold that. Oops, and it's run. Doesn't really matter. Right, I'll just pop that to one side. Now then, fun bit. I'm going to get something to sort of mop up for water. And this is an example of how you can have a lot of fun with paint. Wait there, I need some fresh water. Ta-da! Right. Okay, so over the years I've sort of thought about ways of conveying speed or trying to take away from that sort of perfect botanical precision, or to give things a sort of life, something a bit unique. And sometimes I would do something like this, and it's good fun. Just see what happens. Like really, really beautiful things. Right, so that's absolutely, trying to decide which way, magic. And so then we could just leave this to go bone dry and then see where to take it next. But I think this is a very good example of how people talk about happy accidents, but you can kind of you can encourage these things. So that's rather lovely. And if you give me one moment, you'll be amazed, because here's one I did earlier. Okay, so exactly the same thing. I just started it, and now it's absolutely bone dry. So let's look at what we can do to it now. While I tip you up. Thank you, Louise. Tea, yes, I do need to drink some tea. I always make myself this massive flagon of tea and then forget to drink it. So I can start to think about what colour to make the body of this cockerel. And I would quite like it to be always have a scrap of paper somewhere so I can test the colours. So I'm just really, that's maybe a bit too strong. I think maybe add a touch of blue to that. That's quite nice. So this is a running along cockerel. Do you know, it's probably a bit darker than I meant, so I'll just put some water on my brush. And there's a sort of, that's like the fluffy bottom area. I might just get slightly darker, just to again convey a sense of where the shadows might lie. So again, I'll turn it round and again using a big brush, nice colour, beginning to come together. Just get my where's that smaller brush gone? Where have you gone? Here. I'm going to decide where to put the eye. Again, check my red. Just using my little finger as a rest. Okay, I'm going to build up a really flamboyant tail area. Now there's, and a colour which will work quite nicely with that green would be almost neat. Ultramarine blue. And by just twisting, lifting and pressing the brush, you convey a sense of, that might go around the other side of those feathers, a sense, it's almost like ribbons. Okay. I'm just picking up a very, very lovely fuchsia pinky sort of colour, and just I'm going to put a touch on the ends of each of those because I'm just playing with colour here. Okay. And I've put that to one side, maybe let that dry and then do something else to it. So I'll just put that to one side. So going back to the light subtle, this is too wet, so we can't really do anything to it now. But here's one I did earlier. And I would probably normally add to the layers and layers, but because we have limited time today, in fact I have no idea what the time is, let me just have a look. It's 12:41. I'm going to quickly do some defining things to this that will hopefully make it very clear. We just use one colour, which is Payne's Grey. Which way do I need to go? There. And I shall find myself another brush. Oh, now then, this is another brush which I've just recently added to my range, and it's also Pro Art or whatever, and it's got a sort of an angled end, which is great for certain things. Once you get the hang of it, you can use it very, very, very. Let me see, I'll just straight into the Payne's Grey. You can use it to. You can use the point, the tip, to do a very, very thin line, or you can play with it. What I'm going to do now, whoops, I've just seen there's a drop of water on there, I don't want that. I'm going to very quickly use this brush to paint the markings on this light Sussex cockerel in a very sort of simple way. Can't always talk and paint. Okay. And they sort of help create a sort of twist in the neck. And then the next thing, just get a big brush, because what I'm going to do now is try and convey the back view of the tail feathers. Then I think I'll just get this slightly smaller brush just to convey some of the smaller feathers. And when it's bone dry, actually I could just do it now for the bigger feathers. So obviously very, very quick, but I hope that gives you an idea about how you could just sort of build up in just 2 layers a light Sussex cockerel with the tail feathers looking like it really is from the back. Now then, I'm going to quickly give you another idea about how one might paint a white subject. I wonder if I've got a little scrap of paper. It doesn't need to be anything big. Yeah, here we are. So I'm confused. This is different. Neil, this is it's on the same. It's on my Facebook page, but it's on a platform called StreamYard, so that it can be put on different other social media sites. I hope that explains it. Right. If you have any questions, now's the time. I'm going to do something. I'm going to use maybe a bigger brush for this. And one of my favourite subjects is Indian runner ducks. Love them. And we usually have Indian runner ducks. We haven't got any at the moment. As with everybody else who keeps poultry, we get fox attacks. So, right, if I just maybe do one thing, then I'm going to get a bigger brush and mix up some colour. Pinching bits from all over the place. Oh my word, I've made a bit of a mess there, never mind. Okay, so it's not a great colour, but it doesn't matter. I've said this before, but occasionally I've done like demos for school groups, and it gets to the point where I say to the children, "So how do we paint white?" And they start looking for the white paint in my. Sorry, I just need to think while I'm. Yeah, so they start looking for the white paint, and then usually one bright spark realizes that there is no white paint. And I said, well, how do we paint white things? And then again, this bright spark says, I know, you leave it behind. And they're absolutely right. So Indian runner ducks are very, very tall and thin. I always think they look a bit like umbrellas. I might just get, oops. That's a bit grubby, but never mind. Okay. So that is a very, very, very simple demo of how to paint something white. Leave it behind. And I wouldn't advocate doing it quite like that unless you were really quite confident. It might be easier to get a very, very, very pale wash and paint your duck first and then do the background. But I think that hopefully that demonstrates how you can paint a white subject. Obviously it could have a bit of shadow on, but it's quite striking like that, I think. Now then, I notice at the time it's 12:50, which is more than I normally spend doing a live video, but this is special today. So I hope that I've given you some ideas, send you away getting paint and big brushes and plenty of water, and most of all I would encourage you to be bold and to not worry about doing like a finished painting. Just use the paper to discover what you can do. You know, don't worry about finished paintings. Just take that right out of the whole thing and get to grips with the medium, you know, the pigment and the water and the paper, and see how you can get it to do magic things. And it's in those very, very close, intimate spaces, which look just like a bit of a sort of a dribble, but you know, like right in there where the red meets the yellow. It's magic. Never fails to make me excited. Now, if any of you if this is the first live video that you have watched, I do them quite often at lunchtime at 12 o'clock. It's very much a sort of lockdown thing. Once life gets back to normal, I probably won't have time to do very many. But it would be at 12 o'clock, and there is on my Facebook page, which is Marianne Rogers, and also my business page, which is Marianne Rogers Gallery, I do post warning there's going to be a live video. But there's also a group for people who love painting and who are interested called Lockdown Gang, and that's a Facebook group, and it's really lovely, and you'll see some beautiful stuff there, because there are people who are professional painters who produce stunning work, and you've got people who have literally picked up a brush for the first time this last year, and then you've got people who just like to watch and make nice comments. Do join that group. It's completely open, Lockdown Gang, and if you're very brave, just put your own work there. Anything. It's a really, really friendly, open group, and I always put a warning on there when I'm going to do a live video. If you're a YouTuber, I've got a channel which is Marianne Rogers, not Marianne Rogers Artist, and there are lots and lots and lots of these live videos posted there, but not the last 2 or 3 weeks. I think I got a bit, a few backed up. My gallery will be open from, oh, here's a delivery van. Or no, it's probably a collection van. We've always got vans coming up and down. Yeah, the gallery is going to be open from the 12th of April. Hurrah! So please do consider coming out and meeting me in the flesh, and me meeting you in the flesh. And we've got, like, if you haven't been here before, the gallery isn't just like this new-ish building here where I do my painting and hang work, but all of the downstairs of the house, apart from the kitchen, is gallery. So there's quite a lot of space to wander around, and there are great places to have lunch in Bellingham. There's also a Bay Horse Inn in West Woodburn. I guess they'll be opening soon, and sometimes if we're feeling kind, we make a pot of tea or coffee. Anyhow, it's been really, really lovely spending time with you, and I hope you've picked up some ideas, and yeah, have a great time painting. I'll see if there's anything else on my little list of things to do. A lot of YouTube materials. Gallery, done and dusted. Bye for now.